Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another episode of Ramadan TV, Ramadan Inspirations, and I'm truly pleased to be with you in studio today. Our guest is Rabia Carvelho. She's based in KZN. She's a life coach. She is also a complementary healer and she is a social worker. So she's going to be talking to us about the type of physiological changes our bodies have been through this Ramadan. And we do know just a few days away and Ramadan will be over and we'll be celebrating a beautiful Eid with our loved ones. But we also know that we are going to be overindulging. So what are the repercussions of that scenario? But let's start right at the beginning with Rabia, talk about this journey, this physiological journey during the month of Ramadan and how we can still keep happy, healthy, and obviously mindful of how we move forward post-Ramadan. Assalamu alaikum to you, Rabia Carvelho. Welcome to the program. Nice to have you on the show.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is so lovely to be here. Jazakallah so much for this opportunity to chat to you.
Great to have you. We do value your time. So you've heard my introduction regarding Ramadan, regarding the type of work you do. And alhamdulillah, it's been such a Mubarak Ramadan. But of course, we now need to be mindful post-Ramadan. What I'd like you to do, Rabia, is to tell us the changes our body's been through up to this point, and post-Ramadan, what do we need to be mindful of regarding our general health and well-being?
So it's great that we talk about it because we often go into Ramadan thinking, it's just the spiritual side of things, but the beauty of Ramadan is that it gives us an opportunity to completely redo the way that our body functions. And so it was important at the start of Ramadan in helping the ladies that I assist and just in terms of the people as well, to get some information out there to prepare us physiologically. Now we look back and we say, what has come out of it physiologically? And it really is that old adage of you're going to get out of it what you put into it. If all you did was go hungry and then eat a lot of bad stuff, then you're going to come out of it not as physiologically together as you could be. So there's been various studies that have been conducted on what happens to our bodies during Ramadan, and they all say very much the same thing. So typically, for some people, you may have lost weight. For other people, you may have better gut health or worse gut health, depending on what you've been eating. We may find that as we go through Ramadan, our energy levels start off really low and then they start to increase as our body starts to make use of ketone energy versus glucose energy, just different types of ways that the body uses either glucose or fats. We start to burn our own fats. So we are going to see then an increase in our red blood cells and in our white blood cells, which is great. It means we can fight infections better. We're going to see that for the most part, if we've done things kindly to our body, that our good cholesterol has gone up and our bad cholesterol has gone down, which is wonderful. It's so hard to actually get that normally. We may even find that the body has gone through a process called autophagy, where new cells have been created to replace the cells that were not functioning at their very best. Even cells that throughout our whole life are not really supposed to die off. Our body's taken care of getting rid of the ones that weren't working very well and giving us new ones that are kind of all systems go and ready. So our body is like taken on this massive transformation. And again, depending on what we've done to our bodies, we may find that our kidneys are functioning better, but we may find that they are not. Our liver might be functioning better and it might not. It really depends on what we've been eating during Ramadan. So important for us as we're coming out of Ramadan to keep the cognizance that, maybe we haven't been perfect because we all get cravings. So what can we now do to make sure that we really capitalize on anything positive that may have happened physiologically to us? particularly in terms of our liver, which is our purifier for the body, our kidneys. These two together will determine our stress levels. They'll determine how happy we are going forward. There's so much that we can really look at in terms of how do we help our bodies to come out of Ramadan and really be firing on all cylinders.
What I do worry about is the day of Eid. Obviously, it's a day of family, of love, of gathering, but also lots and lots of good food. Very especially since we've just come out of Ramadan, where we have obviously our eating habits have changed drastically. Not to talk about all the pies and the samosas, even though we have cut down on the amount of foods we've taken in, we still did have those other options which we partook of, maybe at a very limited level, but that too we have ingested. And also the other question is, people have lost weight. Some of them needed to do so, not intentionally, but they're wanting to keep that weight off. So what happens post-Ramadan to all of those issues?
So, people may have lost weight because they've burnt off fat. They may have lost weight because they've actually dehydrated quite a bit. That's also a fact. So let's talk about things like, how do we maintain the weight loss? Well, it's not about just the quantity that we're eating, but it's the type of things that we are eating. You mentioned the samosas, the savories. It's a favorite during iftar, to have your savories. And these are very high carbohydrates foods, typically fried foods. So small switches we can do is switch over to baking rather than frying these things. If we're going to continue with them coming out of Ramadan, try to focus on steering away from, I always say, if it's white, it might not be all right. So the very white foods, the flours, the breads, the rices, try to opt for your whole grain things. For example, we look at rice. The white rice is literally just going to become sugar in our bodies. And it's going to, as soon as there's sugar in our bodies, our body says to itself, right, stop burning fat, start burning all the sugars. So we're going to start to eat bread at random times. We're going to start to eat more rice, more of the white stuff. This creates insulin spikes more and more throughout the day. So we're going to find that we pick up weight very, very, very quickly, and not healthy weight, because that kind of weight that we pick up is going to predominantly be visceral fat. That's fat that's packed around our organs. So as we come out, let's try to eat a lot more stuff that's green, a lot more stuff that is leafy green vegetables. All those bittery tasting things are really important for us because they're going to help to keep that weight off. And they're also going to help to maintain our energy levels. They're going to help us to cope with the excess cortisol that has been running through our bodies as we have fasted, so that our stress levels will reduce. So we must increase the amount of green foods that we eat, the leafy green. We have that little side vegetable on the during Eid, and everyone has that little bit of salad, but it's kind of an afterthought. And I'm saying, let's turn it around. Let's make that plate more green and less of the other stuff. If we do that, we might be able to balance out some of the not so great effects of all the sugary stuff that comes after it. And that is another problem, is the high sugars. There are substitutions we can use. There's stevia. Stevia is one of my favorite. People sometimes don't like it because of the bitter aftertaste. But if you were to take equal amounts of stevia and xylitol and mix those, you get less of the bitter aftertaste, and then you can use it for baking. For example, almost 1-to-1 with your normal sugar. So try to slide those in, and if you're going to have white rice, throw a little bit of wild rice in there. Get creative, because we need that husk that surrounds the rice. We need it for fiber. We need it because we want to keep our villi, those little fingers that absorb nutrients that line our intestinal tract. We want to keep those alive and healthy. So more greens, less of the white stuff. Try to replace the high sugar, even fructose sugar, that fruit-based sugar is not so great for us. All these substitutes, agave sugars, these things are still sugar. Stick to the stevias and the xylitols, or a combination of the two, so that we reduce the amount of insulin spikes that our body goes through. This helps the gut to heal. This helps our moods to stabilize. More importantly as well is to stay hydrated. We've really pulled things out. We need that water.
Let's go for an ad break. When we come back, I'm going to ask about sugar highs, and I'm certain I know what the answer is going to be there. But let's just touch on it briefly, and then let's go into the space of mindfulness, how you still retain the spirituality of the month of Ramadan, post-Ramadan. So do stay with us. This is Ramadan TV.